Hi everyone, I'm Shelly from There's No Place Like Home at redheadmom8.wordpress.com. Today I'm going to be sharing with you the curriculum that I use with my 15, 16, and 17-year-olds. If you watched my first two videos in which I showed you the curriculum for my littles and my middles, you'll know that I'm a relaxed homeschooler. We don't use a whole lot of textbooks in this house, except for with my 17-year-old. She, out of all of my kids, is the only one who prefers textbook learning, so that's what we do. My 15-year-old is most like a Charlotte Mason learner. She really enjoys reading, and we've incorporated a lot of notebooking into what she does. So I'm going to show you what she's been doing this year. She actually finished 2 books in the Life of Fred Language Arts series. There are actually 4 books in the series. Now I'm going to tell you that on Amazon, for some reason it's listed as a middle school curriculum, and she is in 9th grade, so I mean some school districts would consider that middle school. But when I got these off of the actual Polka Dot Publishing website, I think it was the Polka Dot Publishing website, it was actually listed as being for high school level. But anyway, she did finish the first 2 books in this series this year. And she could have actually just done all 4, but she chose to do some copy work, which is what my younger kids also do. They do some copy work from the Shel Silverstein book, Light in the Attic. And I really like copy work because it's a great way for the kids to see punctuation and proper sentence structure in an actual natural way in a real book, not just out of a textbook. So right here is the copybook that she's been doing her Shel Silverstein work in. And that's all she does. She just copies exactly what she sees in the copybook. And a lot of people actually use this instead of grammar or any sort of English textbook learning, and she seems to enjoy doing it this way. So like I said, she did finish 2 of the Life of Fred Language Arts books, and she will be doing 1 next year and 1 the following year. But for right now, for learning her writing skills, she's doing copy work. That's one of the things she's doing for her writing skills. For math, she's been doing Life of Fred for math too. This is the Beginning Algebra Expanded Edition. She started out the year doing the pre-algebra books, and then she moved on to the algebra one about maybe 2 months ago after she finished the pre-algebra ones. And she was working through that until I actually ordered these books. Everything You Need to Ace Math in One Big Fat Notebook. And I ordered the whole series. I have the history one and the English one and the science one, but actually I just happened to show it to her because I thought that it was really nice inside. And she said that she actually wanted to do this one for a while because it's going to help her refresh her memory on fractions and decimals and everything before she really gets into the algebra. So that's what she's doing right now. She decided to do this for a while to refresh some things that she needed some practice on before she returns to the Life of Fred algebra. We don't use textbooks for her history or science. What she's been doing so far is she actually spent a lot of time learning about the Holocaust. So she read The Book Thief and The Boy in the Striped Pajamas, The Devil's Arithmetic. She read a lot of books like that, and then a lot of times she watched the movies that went along with them. But then what she decided to move on to was she decided to start on some ancient history after she had done that for a while. So she moved on to King Tut. She thought that he was cool, so she wanted to learn about King Tut. So we've just been going to the library and getting lots of books out on King Tut and also on the pyramids and ancient Egypt, and she's been notebooking through that. So right here is more practice. This is the Eye of Horus, and if you see, she sketched that here. And she's just been notebooking her way through these books that she's done. And actually, she really loves hieroglyphics. So she's been photocopying a lot of hieroglyphics, and she says she's going to put them all over her wall. So that should be interesting there. She tried to copy some of them. So that's what she's been doing for her history. For her science, she has been doing insectivores. My kids really like animals. That's one thing when you watch these videos, you're going to find out that my kids are animal lovers. They love anything to do with animals and anything to do with nature, being outside. So I actually gave her an option of what she wanted to learn about right now. And she chose animals, and she's doing insectivores right now. So she's been notebooking through. She's got some moles in here and shrews and I think hedgehogs, and she's done some mapping. Oh, there's Luna's making an appearance. Say hi, Luna. And so she's got some mapping here. She's shaded which animal is this? Where the moles are found. So this is her notebook for her science, and she's been really enjoying this far more than she would ever enjoy any textbook. I'm telling you that now. My 16-year-old, actually he'll be 17 on Monday. I have Irish twins because his older sister will be 18 in May, so they'll both be 17 for 1 month. But anyway, if I would still embrace the unschooling lifestyle, he would be the one who would be the happiest about it, I think, because he loves learning outdoors. He wants to be a wildlife photographer, so everything that he does is about nature. He's got pictures of himself with a snake biting his finger, and he likes going to the creek, and just anything outside is what he likes to do. But it's been cold, so he hasn't been able to do that. So he has been doing more book learning than he normally does when it's warm outside. But what he's been doing this year is he started out this year, yes, there's paint on it, but he started out this year doing daily grams. And this is actually also what my 17, almost 18-year-old does. She also does daily grams, and this is great because it only takes 5 minutes a day just to review the things that you've learned through grammar. And you know what? Even if you didn't teach grammar, you could totally just start teaching grammar with this book, because it would be so simple just to sit down with somebody and explain to them what it is that they're expected to do. So I don't even think that you need to do an entire grammar curriculum before doing this. It's called the review, but it would be very simple to just sit there and help your student or your child with it, with just this book. But anyway, 5 minutes a day. My son has ADHD, so he needs these really short lessons, and he really enjoyed this. He also, though, has been taking a break from that for a while, and he's also been doing the copy work. I don't have his copybook here, but he's been doing the Shel Silverstein copy work too, and he really likes that. He likes illustrate. I hear my kids screaming upstairs. He likes illustrating pictures to go with them because he's also quite the artist. So he's also taking a break from the grammar for now. For his algebra this year, he did not want to do Life of Fred because he is not a reader. Unlike my 15-year-old, he does not like to read at all. He likes things straight and to the point, which is what no nonsense algebra is. It gives you very easy to understand directions and examples. It gives you a few problems, and at the bottom of every page there are review problems so that they don't forget what they did prior to this chapter. And this book also comes with free video tutorials. It just gives you a code that you type in, and it actually gives you a free video for every single lesson in the book. And this book is literally, what was it, around $20 or $25? It was really inexpensive, and it is so worth it. I highly recommend this to you. Now, like I said, since he does have ADHD, a lot of times I just have him do, for example, the odds one day, and then we'll do the evens the next day. Unless he really understood the odds and didn't need the extra practice, then we'll just move on to the next lesson. But even with this, I do not make him do all of the problems, because in our homeschool we like to keep our lessons short. I want to keep the kids interested so that they actually can pay attention to what they're doing. So what he's been doing for history, he also does not use textbooks. He has been reading a historical fiction called Castaways of the Flying Dutchman. So what he did is he decorated this, and he has been notebooking his way through that. And again, he's just, what is that? I didn't even notice that before. That must be the boy's dog. And he's been writing about it, and he's been enjoying this. And he's not a big reader, but I think that if he has the choice of a textbook or reading a regular book, I think he's going to choose the regular book anyway. And that's what he's doing right now for this. And since he does want to be a wildlife photographer, what he's doing for science is he's learning about the animals of Pennsylvania, because that's where we live. And if he becomes an animal photographer, of course, he's going to go everywhere. But as of right now, he's confined to where we live. So I said, hey, you know, why don't you look up the sorts of animals and insects that you'll see around here? So that's what he's been doing. And I'm sure that once it starts getting warm out, he will prefer to take maybe a nature journal with him and just go outside and actually see the things in person. But for right now, he's content with just finding out what sorts of animals, insects, reptiles, amphibians, all of that we have in Pennsylvania. And he's been finding out what their habitat is, where they live, what their lifespans are. And that's what he's been doing for his science until it gets warm out. Then he will be doing what we call field work. He'll actually be outside quite a bit, probably catching snakes and turtles and bringing them home and observing them for a couple days and then taking them back. And that's usually what we end up doing all the time. And you know what? He really loves it. He takes a lot of beautiful pictures, which I do post on Instagram when he sends them to me. So if you follow me on Instagram, you'll get to see some of those. Now for my oldest daughter, she will be my first homeschool graduate this year. And I told you earlier that she's the only one of my kids who actually prefers textbook learning. And I think that it might have something to do with the fact that she spent more time in school than any of my other kids did. In the future, I'll tell my story of our homeschool burnout. But what actually happened was we homeschooled. My kids went to school. I pulled them out. We homeschooled for 2 years. I burned out. Let's just say I tried to recreate school at home way too much, and I ended up sending the kids back to school again. So after I sent my kids back to school 2 years later, I decided to pull them back out. But since my oldest daughter was doing really well in school, she was in all honors classes and she really seemed to be enjoying herself, I let her stay in a bit longer until eventually at the end of her 8th grade year, she told me that she wanted me to pull her back out again so that I could homeschool her for high school. So that is what we're doing right now. And she will be our first homeschool graduate. Now, I did say earlier, she also does the daily grams for her grammar lessons. She just finished this one, Understanding Psychology. It's just a regular textbook that I found on Amazon. And it took her 2 years to do this one. She really took her time with it. She answered all of the questions. She loves psychology. She actually did psychology for 3 years this year. She did this one for 2 years, well, about a year and a half, and then she had another psychology curriculum that she used her first year. Was it 10th grade? Yeah, it was 10th grade. So, yeah, so she really enjoyed doing the psychology, and she's done with that now. For writing, we don't really do writing curriculums. She has been doing notebooking for a road trip that she's planning on taking after she graduates. She's been planning out her trip by actually compiling a notebook for it. But she also plans on attending college. So I decided to get this book for her because it gives them the expectations that professors will have for them to write in college, and it gives them the formatting, like the APA formatting and everything that they're going to need to learn. So she's been reading through this, and she actually notebooks through this. She will read a few pages or a chapter, and then she will complete a notebooking page where she will write about what she's learned in this book. So that's what she's been doing for writing. She started out this year doing Physics Essentials for Dummies. In our state, children only need 3 credits in math, history, and science for high school in order to graduate. So technically, she did not need to take a math, science, or history course this year. But she decided to do this because she loves quantum physics and knew that she wouldn't understand quantum physics until she understood physics. So she started out doing this, and she was notebooking through this, but she really thought it was boring. And since she does not need the actual credit this year, I told her just to stop doing it. So she did start out with it, though. She also wanted to just touch on chemistry, too. So we were doing contemporary chemistry. And again, she didn't need the credit. My daughter she's just one of those kids she's a go-getter. And when she wants to do something, she insists on trying it. But if she doesn't like it, she will tell you that she doesn't like it. So that's what happened with this. She started out and she just really thought it was boring and didn't have much of an interest in it. So this one too, she did this for about half a year. So she'll get half a credit in chemistry, but she decided not to finish it out because she couldn't pay attention to it, which I can't pay attention to any textbook, so I have to give her credit for that. She started out the year doing consumer mathematics too, and this is through Rebecca. And the reason that we decided to do this was because since she's a senior this year, we thought that it's a good idea for her to understand what real life math is. Calculus you're not going to use in everyday life unless you've got a job that has something to do with it. She doesn't like math very much, so she's not going to have a job that requires calculus. So we said, hey, we'll do this instead. Well, this started out okay, but over time it started teaching things that have nothing to do with real life math, like calculating inflation and things of that nature. And finally, I said to her, you know what, instead of doing that, what if you do like a refresher course in algebra and maybe geometry for when you start college? So that's what she did. She finished about half of this, maybe 2/3 of it. And she stopped doing it because it wasn't teaching real life math. I was really disappointed, I have to say. I was excited. I was like, oh, it's going to teach her how to budget and how to write checks. And that stuff is in here, but there's also a lot of stuff in here that is complete busy work. You don't need to know it. So I wouldn't recommend getting this. If you want to teach your child real life math, just let them follow you in daily life and do real life math with them, not real life math in a textbook. But anyway, so for her refresher algebra course, she's just using the no-nonsense algebra that Dylan uses. She's actually been going through 2 lessons a day with that. Like I said, when she wants to do something, she really does it. So she's doing 2 lessons a day with this, plus she's using Mr. D Math for geometry too. So she's been doing that for her refresher course in the hopes that it will help her for when she does start college if she has to take any of those classes, because she's probably going to attend the community college that my oldest son attends, and there you just take a placement test in order to get in, and she's thinking that this is going to help her out there. So this is the curriculum that my kids use. If you have any questions about anything or any comments, just leave them below, and I hope you have a great day.